Good evening, I'm Leonardo Puglisi. This is 6 News. Tonight, Australia's youngest COVID-19 death, 30-year-old Nathan Turner, dies in central Queensland, with concern it was linked to a nurse who travelled to the area earlier this month. Also, another grim coronavirus milestone, 100,000 people dead in the US, and experts fear it's going to get worse. Protests erupt after the death of an African-American man in police custody, with 4 officers already fired. A man shot dead on the Monash freeway in Melbourne following a standoff with police. And Australians could be flying overseas by July 1, but don't pack your bags just yet. 6 News starts now. First tonight, a 30-year-old man from central Queensland has become Australia's youngest COVID-19 death. Nathan Turner from Blackwater in central Queensland died on Tuesday. Residents from the town, which has a population of almost 5,000 people, have all been urged to get tested for COVID-19. There are concerns that a nurse from Rockhampton who tested positive for the coronavirus may have caused the death when she reportedly travelled to Blackwater in early May. The US has now passed 100,000 coronavirus deaths, and experts fear it's going to get worse if people ignore social distancing. States are continuing to ease lockdown laws despite expert medical advice advising them not to. The latest count of fatalities may eventually pass the American death toll from the Korean War, where more than 116,000 US soldiers died in combat. Protests have erupted in Los Angeles and Minneapolis following the death of an African-American man while he was being arrested by police. Lincoln Holmes has the details.
Today, the protests in Minneapolis reached a milestone of 4 days. Protesters have vowed to burn Minneapolis to the core until action is taken against the 4 officers involved in the death of George Floyd. Just after Floyd was taken to hospital, the fire department declared that there was no signs of life. Mayor of Minneapolis, Jason Frey, had this to say.
Anger and sadness that has been ingrained in our black community, not just because of 5 minutes of horror, but 400 years.
One of the key parts in this tweet from President Trump is when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Lincoln Holmes, 6 News.
A 53-year-old man has been shot dead on the Monash freeway in Melbourne following a standoff with police. For more on this, I'm joined live by reporter Darby Travers. Darby, authorities have described it as a sad situation. Can you give us some more details into what happened?
Yeah, that's right, Leo. Some very tragic events took place on Thursday morning. What we know is a 53-year-old man was shot dead by police on the Monash freeway. Now, the authorities were called to the scene around about 9:30 a.m. after reports the man was armed with a knife. Now, police say they attempted to negotiate with the man before 2 shots were reportedly fired by the officers. The Assistant Commissioner described the incident as a tragic and sad event. So no doubt some distressing scenes, Leo, on the Monash freeway.
Darby Travers in Melbourne, thank you. News Corp is set to stop the print edition of dozens of regional newspapers, and it's reported a third of all jobs will go. Metropolitan newspapers, including Sydney's Daily Telegraph and Melbourne's Herald Sun, will begin to contain more state-based stories. Most changes are set to come into effect on June 29. Some of your feedback include from Dana McCauley. She says, "I'm sad to hear that News Corp is closing more than 100 local papers that make a real difference to communities. This campaign I worked on at the Port Phillip leader won not 1 but 2 much needed new primary schools for the area, thinking of all my former colleagues." Australians could be travelling overseas by the end of the year. It's thought that flying to New Zealand could become an option if a travel bubble does go ahead as planned. There's also thoughts we could go to other nearby destinations, including Vanuatu, Fiji and Indonesia. But don't pack your bags just yet. Australia and nearby countries will need to keep their coronavirus cases down before we are able to go overseas. To the national forecast, Darwin's sunny, getting to a top of 33 tomorrow. In Brisbane, 24 tomorrow and 22 on Tuesday. Sydney, partly cloudy, 19 degrees with similar conditions on Tuesday. In Canberra, light rain and 11 tomorrow. Melbourne, a top of 12, also some rain. Hobart, heavy rain, 12 degrees, cloudy on Tuesday. Adelaide, rain, a top of 13 tomorrow. And Perth, 20 tomorrow and 21 on Tuesday. And before we go, I'd like to thank Natasha Exelby, cameraman Anthony, and all the team at Channel 10 for having me on the other day. It was amazing being interviewed by Natasha. She is a wonderful reporter, and of course you can find that full report on YouTube. Don't forget, there will be a behind the scenes video online very soon. And on that note, that is 6 News for this Sunday evening. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at 6NewsAU. Now, if you're watching via Melfeed video, make sure you stick around. There's a great new program coming up next, Inline Plus, then Harmony and Diversity from 9 PM. I'm Leonardo Puglisi.
And I'm Natasha Exelby.
Good night.